All right, Shabak, are you ready? It's been a while. Review, baby, number 8. All right. Welcome to the new place, I guess. I think you've seen it before. Excuse the area and the tray full of ball. It's fine. We're fine here. I'm gonna put 25 minutes on my phone because my things are all upstairs in the kitchen where they probably belong. And we're gonna talk about old reviews. We're going in backwards order, or from the oldest to the newest, so we can hopefully catch up. And I'm just going to mention if any of these products still hold merit, if you should still think about buying them, or if they have replacements, and then they'll all be linked in the description. And I'm going to say at the beginning of a video, check out the Hi-Fi Guides forum, where 10,000 registered users and 10,000 non-registered users are almost always there, which is freaking amazing. Thank you. Those stats do not come cheap. So I thank you for your support also. So I think I left off, boom, with the Schiit Stacks version 2 Uber edition. I never did the Schiit Stacks 1 on Z Reviews. Like, it was just too old. I wasn't doing it. I remember there was a time on Reddit where shit was not the shit, but just shit. It's just shit. It's just shit is shit. I'm gonna yawn again. What is it with these videos that I yawn every time I do them? By the way, wallpaper in the description. And I don't think I have to explain pretty much like how the Schiit Stacks has evolved from the Schiit Stacks V2 to the Uber to the Uber Plus. Now we have the Magni 3 Plus and the Heresy. So it sort of branched out some different flavors, but always improving. And shit stopped being shit around the time of the Uber. So bravo, that was 4 years ago. Wow, the OWN X1S DAC. That was my first OWN or ON product, however you want to say it. And it legitimately, that was like the first thing I got from a company. It was worth like $300 back in the day. And I know now that the output impedance was like 10 ohms, which is like crazy high. And it probably skewed a couple of headphones I reviewed. But my God, it still sounded good. Like the original one was like, I couldn't ask for a more complete, nicely built package than that. That was the default Reco. And now the 10-year anniversary edition exists, I guess, of all of ON or OWN. She's licking poles still. So I do highly recommend that. And I mean, over there, I've got the ON X8 Magic DAC. And over there, where I'm moving my review desk, I have the S8 DAC. So it's just not many amps. I had their amp for a little while, then the 789 came out and crushed everything. But yeah, you know what? I won't link that one, but I'll link the 10-year anniversary one. I've apparently did a near field surround sound setup featuring the Vanadu T1 Encores, which I could very easily redo. My basement right now has the Emotiva preamp here, and I could just run RCA cables around and boom. Near field surround sound is interesting because it's like people had those Logitech setups back in the day, which was like, oh, put the little center here and then put the left and right. And then, but when you do it with like high-end equipment, it's completely different than like just watching in a nicely set up home theater. Because like even my living room is like, oh wow, this is big and verbose. But when it's close and accurate, you're like, holy God, is this what they do for movies? So I mean, that's not the link for that. The Mica MK3 crossover upgrade install. I used to do install videos, exactly 10 minutes. How. The Bravo Audio 2, the Bravo Audio V2, and the Muse MiniDac. The Muse MiniDac was just like a bottom bitch USB fiber coaxial to output. It was like $25. So it's like the FiiO, the FiiO D3 exists. And the Bravo was a little tube amp. And I actually had one hooked into the other, so I reviewed them both. It was pretty interesting of me. The Bravo was a little tiny little tube amp that was a hybrid tube. It was like one of the first hybrid tubes I've ever played with. So I had no point of reference. So I gave it like a thumbs up. I'm not sure I would if it did it again today. There are like extra rules to roost with the tube hybrids, basically now with the TA10. I'm keeping an eye on her because she's doing weird shit. Patreon liquidation. The very first Patreon like yard sale, but I called it a liquidation and I pulled names out of a hat to get things for free. Oh, baby, come here. She's got cobwebs on her face. No cobwebs on the baby girl. See, this is why I gotta watch you when you're down here. You just get covered in fucking spiders. Is there any spider eggs in your eyes? All right, you look good. All right, go. Don't go into the stairs. So yeah, I've been doing yard sales for 4 years. And thank you. Imagine how much stuff I'd have if I didn't just either give it away or sell it. Holy God. The Vanna 2T1 sound demo. I love how 4 years ago I did a 10-minute, by the way, my videos have gotten much longer since I've done this. Fit Spirit desktop speaker headphone stands. Literally the phone blocks that I use. My phone blocks that I'm like, oh, 31,000 views. And I should probably redo it because there's just the Amazon Basics blocks. There's those bamboo blocks. There's foam like this for the desk. Like I could just do a foam review and it would be a 30-minute long review. That was the only I can't even imagine what I would do without this foam blocks right there holding 3 headphones. What the fuck would I put headphones on? I'd have nothing to put headphones on. I'd have nothing to put headphones on. What am I gonna buy? The Peridot acrylic ones? I have like 50 of them. It would cost me a fortune. If you lick that pole, I'm gonna hit you with my hat. Don't lick the pole. Don't lick the pole. I'll hit you with my hat. Look me in the eyes. I'm the captain now. I still shit in her ear. So yeah, foam blocks linked in the description. The AKG K99 Perception. I think I perceived that those sucked. Those are like the cheapest plastic, and it was no good. They were bad. You don't even have to know. It's listed in the descriptions. Yes, it's fine. Don't link it though. The Yamaha HPH200. I don't remember those, nor do I think I recommended them after the review. Like, let me see what my hand waving looks like. Temporary setup, middle of the living room, Doom Stacks. Temporary setup, middle of the basement, Doom Stacks. Nothing's changed. Ah, stop licking the pole. I know you. I'll give you some iron and some food. I'll cook you some beef. Stop licking the fucking poles. I looked it up already. It means she has an iron deficiency. Go upstairs. Eat your food. Yeah, moving off of that. The Ultrasone Alienware headphone. I hated those. We'll get to more Ultrasones as the years go on. That one was like just the worst. Alienware too, like fucking Alienware. Who sent me that? Moving on. Audio Technica ATH 8900X. So I think I already owned the 2000X. I had those first. I had the top of the line. I thought I had the 500X first. I remember reviewing those. I was still living at home. Then I bought the 2000X for myself. I went straight past everything for the 2000X. And then I started going back and reviewing all the other iterations lower than the 2000X. So the ATH 900X ADX, absolutely still worth it. Attached wire, meh. The 1000X is still worth it. The 700s are like, the 5 and 700s are a little bit like lowbrow. You can do better. You can do better now. But the 900X, the 1000X, and the 2000X are still solid recos. They just are. I cut my cuticle off. The Topping NX1 portable headphone amp was at the time the most powerful. They don't even make things like this anymore. I think I touched on that like the E11. What the fuck was the model designation of that FiiO? Where it's just an amp, because everybody used to have a cell phone, and these used to have headphone jacks built in, and you would just take your headphone amp and you would run it from your internal amp to that, and you'd re-amplify it to get more power for headphones. And we can't do that anymore. So now everything's got to be a DAC amp or a Bluetooth amp, which I don't mind the Bluetooth amps, but yeah, that one was actually I would still link that. At 4 years on, what's replaced that as far as, if I can find the NX1 amp, I'll link it, because there's not many that exist now to like replace that. You can do it on something like the FiiO Q3 that I just finished reviewing can do that. Can just use it as an amp. But I mean, if you're not using the DAC, then you're not paying for the DAC, then you shouldn't be paying $150, you should be paying $80. Moving on. The Sound Appeal Premium Bookshelf speaker, which I call the rear speaker. I use this as my rear channel. They were 6.5 inch, front ported box, very shallow, with a bright as fuck tweeter. They were not good for listening to music on. But you put them in a rear channel duty, and they did exactly what I want in a rear channel. They were noticeable and fucking violent and flat with a port so they wouldn't damage anything in the rear or the front port. And those still exist. Someone linked me to those but they aren't called the Sound Appeals anymore. There's some other generic brand of speaker, but they still exist. And for the purposes of like just laying on the floor, shooting up his rear channels, they were like $60 for the pair. You can't add, like, you can get cheap $60 speakers, you get micas for 80, but micas are only a 4. You throw a 6.5 inch with a sharp ass tweeter and no rear port as a rear channel, it's a fucking win. It's a win. It was a win. We got a win, strong win. The Oppo HA2 headphone amp DAC. I should have sold that a long time ago. I haven't used it in like years, but it is still one of the nicest examples of just like leather on metal, and then the volume knob and the beauty of the switches, and it doesn't sound bad. It's not powerful. The THX amp destroyed it. But like, there's some qualities about those old Oppo HA2s. Not when they changed off the leather. At some point, the leather became fake leather. And I'm like, no. This is a premium product. You kill something and you wrap it in it. That was when it was still excellent. And I'll never sell it. 150,000 views in that, by the way. I think it's just like the glint of light in the thumbnail. I don't know what did it. I have it still. I charge it every once in a while. I don't think I've plugged anything into it to actually... I've amplified with it, but I'm not DAC amped into it. The Zeos walkthrough, for some reason in 12/02/2015, I did a walkthrough of my apartment. I would like to watch that one just for shits and giggles. I basically did a walkthrough of this house with the audio setups as an excuse to walk around. Yamaha HPH-MT220s. I don't remember. Square. That's the second set of Yamahas that I have no recollection of what the fuck. Because if I never recommended a headphone after reviewing it, like, oh, you definitely want this Civica 006. I remember the Civica 006 because I recommend it to this moment, and every person I recommended to was like, oh my god, how are these only $100? I don't think I've ever recommended the Yamaha HPH-MT220s. Just never did. So move on. The Griffin 20 2.1 Bluetooth plus SPDIF amp. That was a special unit. I've never seen its quirky equal because it was like a piece of metal with a huge top knob, and it had a fiber optic input and a Bluetooth input, but that was it. There was no RCA inputs. There was nothing you could do. And it had an output for a subwoofer and 2 speakers and a subwoofer. So it was a power amp for 2 speakers with a combiner with an output for a sub, and only a digital input and only Bluetooth. It was fucking weird. And I loved it. But then it disappeared. And like, you can't use that in most cases. Like on a desk, if that existed today, I guess the closest thing would be like the SMSL 8018, where it has fiber optic input, Bluetooth, and it has a subwoofer out, although you have to buy like an adapter to get to it. But it's not like that had something going for it. That looked like a graphics card. Like it was this huge white piece of metal, and it weighed a lot. Oh, I forget if someone loaned that to me or if I bought it. I don't have it anymore. I don't know if I would ever used it, but I miss quirky shit like that. If that exact thing came out today, I'd review it in a heartbeat just to see what's changed. So the ELAC Debut B5, which I bought with cash money to promo it as a Patreon item to say I'm giving it away to patrons. So that was back in the day when I used to have to just beg people to join my Patreon. But now I got Chewbacca on there, and people they'll just throw themselves at her. I like the Debut B5s. I did almost more than the newer ELACs. Like it's a simple speaker, 5-inch, not the prettiest thing in the world, but they performed. They performed admirably. 200,000 views in that, by the way. And the most recent ELAC, the reason I bought the most recent ELACs that I fucking hated was because I remember this level of ELAC. There was the ones with the coaxials. I forget the fucking model numbers of all these. ELAC is something that I don't remember all the model numbers, but they went from like good to like, all right, expensive but good, to like the bad ones that just came out. I was like, oh shit. They were just so boring. I'm actually falling asleep thinking about it. Hold on, right? Yeah, I see the timer, but what's the time on it? I gotta unlock my phone. 11 minutes. Holy God, we got so much more time to go. The Burson Lycan headphone amp was the first Burson product that was sent, and its quirk was it looked like a Geshelli Labs. So it was just glass. It was 1/4 inch volume knob, and the very front was a swappable op amp, and it came with 2 op amps, or you could put a single stereo op amp. And I think they sent it to me with just like the basic ones and the big one, and it was my first taste of like, oh, op amps do a thing. And it was a huge op amp for the stereo part in the middle. And I would love to try that in the X8 Magic Deck. I have to get like giant feet to stand it up, because it was basically just an op amp tester. That's all it was. It was a basic amp, 4 caps, power supply, plug your source in, plug your headphones in, and then went, not this op amp, this op amp, not this op amp, this op amp, not this op amp, this op amp. So it was like, oh wow, that's actually useful. I sold it because I never actually got into the op amp swapping game, but I'm sure there's an equivalent for that for tubes, God knows. The Z review of the Emotiva Control Freak. If you don't know what the Emotiva Control Freak is, it's a knob. It's a mythical creature. It's a knob that sits on your desk that you can turn. And it's an analog knob, so it stops and goes the other way and stops. It's got a big umbilical made out of terrible plastic that wraps a nice piece of wire. And on the end, it has 4 wires, either XLR or RCA, and it was 2 in and 2 out. And it was just a fucking volume knob. And it was perfect. It was perfect for, you could literally put it between your headphone amp and your DAC, which are right above each other. Just plug it in. That's why you just have a volume knob here. Instead of there, here. You have powered monitors. You'd plug one into your DAC, you'd plug the other into extensions, plug your monitor, and you have a volume knob right here. I own 2 of those. And they're probably the most valuable things I own. I should have them insured, put in special cases. Because there's only one other place that makes it on Amazon. I can't link those to you. I'd love to. I can't. Emotiva stopped selling it. There's one place that makes a knob like that on Amazon. That's like a little more like, I don't know, the knob doesn't feel as good. And it was only available for XLR, nothing RCA. And I've begged, and you can help by begging with me, just at them on Instagram or something. I've begged JDS Labs to take a chassis for one of their fucking amps, an EL amp or something, the aluminum chassis, put RCA in, put RCA out, put their volume knob on it, connect it together, and that's it. I just want to pop an EL amp with no internals. I just want to plug my source into it and then have it go out and just control the volume. Whatever that costs, 70 bucks, 80 bucks? How much could they charge for the case alone? Doesn't even light up, has no power. It's just a completely passive volume adjustment. I mean, you can do that with their amplifier, with their headphone amp, but then you're paying $200 and something for something that I have my source, I have where I want it to go, I just want to control it. And JDS Labs is the only one that has the box that I want to touch. So that's unfortunate those don't exist like en masse. But I know there's digital ones too that can control your computer. I'm like, that's not the same. That is not the same. The Monoprice, the Massdrop O2 Odac combo. So if you don't know the story of the Odac and the O2, the Northwest AV guy designed them, gave them out as free designs. Here you go, everybody take them, as long as you follow certain criteria with Creative Commons. You can't modify it. You have to make it exactly like I say to make it. What they didn't specify is you can't put 2 of them in the same box. So that was the first time someone had taken the Odac and the O2 and put them in the same box and wired them together. And that was like the first proper amp DAC combo that everyone should have like focused on. Like, what? What is that? What is that thing? Because shit was still doing stacks. There was no it's hardly any combos now. It's the Fulla and the Fulla 3 are like the hell are the only ones that shit makes that are combo DAC amps. Topping makes a bunch, SMSL makes a bunch, but really that was like the first combo that actually made sense, like, and was quality. The ultimate home theater PC remote with the Rapu keyboard and the Dell Touchpad. I still use it to this fucking moment. 4 years ago I built it. A couple of the keys are missing from just getting ripped off because it was a chiclet keyboard. The Dell Touchpad, I thought I didn't like it, but I ended up buying another touchpad to build a new one of those for my upstairs TV. And that one was so bad, I went to eBay and bought another one of those Dell Touchpads. I am skipping out on the Rapu keyboard because I want backlight. So I went with that Keytron, the Keytron K6, Keytron K6. So I'm gonna end up cutting a cutting board and making the handle, because that's the whole point of it, is that you just have one massive thing that weighs enough and can fit on my lap without sliding off. That is a keyboard and a touchpad. And people are like, get a touch ball, Zeos. And I was like, I don't know about touch ball. I don't want to touch your balls. I might try it. I might just buy it on and Velcro it on there and just be like, oh, this is lovely. So yeah, the Ultimate Home Theater PC thing, like Logitech makes them with the little touchpad on it. They're all shit. They're all garbage. They're all $20. Like, I spent $70 on the keyboard and another $70 on the touchpads. That was $104 in just equipment. And then by the way, those both worked on AAA batteries. So I put rechargeables in there, and I only have to change them out every like 6 months. Then the touchpads started murdering batteries. Audio Technica ATH R70X, the only headphone to be narrower than the HD600s and just as flat. Uncomfortable as hell. Like, the pads were small and they were just like annoyingly boring, but I respected the hell out of them. Like, they felt like Audio Technica doing their best job to impersonate an HD600 and then taking it to the extreme. Soundstage, you don't need that. You just need to hear the sound right here, right in your fucking, right here. This is all you need, right here. And then just like nothing. I got nothing from them, and I was like, wow, they clamp hard, and they were built super fucking nice. I'm actually in the review desk at this point. It's plastic, and there's vacuums and shit. See, you got to go back to these early videos. Like, oh, Zeos, why are you doing it in the basement? It looks like you were in a dungeon. Look at the space I was in, although I did have the speakers lined up on the back, which was cool. I'm moving, all right? It's all happening. I've moved to a house. Eventually, somewhere, I'll settle down and be like, this is where I do my reviews. I feel accomplished. Mad Dog Pros. I honestly don't know what to tell you about this, because I already told you about the Mr. Speakers Mad Dogs. I love my Mad Dogs. And then these are the Mad Dog Pros, which literally just made them balanced. And I don't even remember if I had a balanced amp at the time to review them. They had a different detachable wire, and I think they were balanced. What did I hook it up to? Hold on, let's see if I could tell. Take it off. No, they're not even balanced. They're going into a little Sescom switcher versus the Mad Dogs. So that's what I was doing, was Mad Dogs versus that. So what amplifiers did I have? I think I had the FiiO K5, like originally. Sound demo for the Elect debut B5s. These are sometimes out of order. I don't understand. The Harmon and Kardon 2.1 receiver. I bought this to my cousin for $100 for a Christmas gift. And I'm like, I'm going to review it because everything's a review. This is back when I only had to do a review every 3 days. Now it's every day. So I should be reviewing everything. But that was it was a Blu-ray player and was it a surround? No, it was only a 2.1 receiver. I gave him that. And I think I gave him for his birthday Studio 530s. Like, I had an extra set that I got for super cheap, like $200. I'm like, here's your birthday gift, and here's this. And to this moment, he's still using that terrible fucking thing with the Bluetooth that will occasionally switch to some random person in their building's fucking tablet. And you just hear tick, 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 tick. We're watching a movie, it just blanks out ticking sounds. Someone touchpadding. It's the worst. Could be someone's refrigerator for all we know. So yeah, I need to eventually fix his ass up with like actual surround equipment. I gave him speakers, but he's never going to use them. My poor family in New York. My poor family in New York with all their small apartments is just like, God almighty. Because they have neighbors to concern themselves with. They have low ceilings to concern themselves with. My brother's ceilings are pretty good. He also has like an attic space above his. But it's just like, I can't force people to put surround sounds in life. Everyone's too busy. Even I'm too busy to do it. Like, I got shit. You're standing next to my back channel. It's here. JBL Studio 530s. No, JBL LSR 305s. Thank you. I'm fine. It's fine. It's just like, I just have this stuff. If I had to buy it and plan this, I'd never put this shit up. Hey, the Myonix, where are you? You're upstairs. The Myonix Naus 7000. I did some gaming peripherals back in the day. I just did peripherals. They weren't for gaming. It was just like, hey, a mouse. I can understand mouse. The most comfortable mouse I've ever held. This is the SwiftPoint Z. It's what I use on my desk because it has like every fucking function and multiple buttons and rockers that touch here, and then rockers that touch here, and then rockers that touch here. So it's like everything I'd ever need. But it'll never be as comfortable as a Myonix Naus. That thing held my whole hand. It's like I took a loaf of bread, like a fresh loaf of white bread, unsliced, and just grabbed it and went like this. Now it's my mouse. Then I had mouse bread. It would have been great. That's exactly, I cannot tell you how much comfort that thing provides. This is the long, like all the way to here it goes. It's ridiculous. None of my fingers touch the table at all. They just sort of like gently brush against the tips. Oh, fantastic. Back to I think this is an amp only. The FiiO E12 Mont Blanc. I don't recall. Maybe that one is a DAC also, and the E11 is the one that's only the amp? I don't remember. Again, they don't make these things anymore. No one makes this shit. All right, 15 seconds. All right. We'll end on the Dark Voice, because that's a big one. And then we'll go to the DIY sous vide. The Dark Voice 336 is the default tube amp for me. For everybody. It should be. It should be everyone's first tube amp. Maybe your only tube amp. Because I still have it. It's packed. It's on the shelf over there. Because it's very well built. It's got the build to make it powerful enough. It's single-ended. It takes a preamp tube and a power tube. And you can swap those tubes for the rest of your life. And you will get a different sound every time. No one's ever complained about the build quality of the Dark Voice. It's just a big hunk of metal. It's a big hunk of metal. The stock tubes, they'll let you know what a tube. It is a true tube amp also. It's not like a half-ass tube. I think like the little dot tubes, these little tiny tubes, like you're missing out on some of the point of getting a tube amp. A tube amp should be this illustrious thing with giant fucking throbbing glass members that come out of it. You're like, oh my God, it should irradiate heat that burns you. And that makes you feel like that's going to end up on my review desk at some point. I have those Tors, the Tor Roger and the Tor Balanced, and those are better tube amps. But they're also like made of wood and come from Ukraine, and then it's just like there's a little bit more pomp and circumstance and cost. That is just like amp. Unless you're willing to build a bottlehead crack and put the speedball mods in it, it's just like that's usually good enough. That and every tube you could ever swap, ever. So next time I'll start on the $100 DIY sous vide, which I built 4 years ago. And it's amazing how much shit has happened to me in 4 years. From moving into that apartment to like, hey, I made a sous vide to now this place. And like, I've got sous vides in the drawer that are just people sent to me. This wallpaper. Was she best girl? Which one would you rather live with? Well, she was a little bit like stuck up. Whatever. We could discuss that in the comments below. Check out Hi-Fi Guides in the forums. Check out my Patreon and Subscribestar, because they literally, that's it. I run off of this channel. There is no other job. There is no like, oh, well, Zeos has got a, what's it called? Fund. What is it called? I don't even have one. I don't even know what the fuck it's called. Trust fund. No, there's no trust fund. I started off this shit in like an attic. And it's only through the generosity of my viewers that I keep it going. So thank you very much for that. The $5 tiers see most reviews early, not this type. These just come out. I think we could all share in the watching of this together. They don't need to let... When I do review something like a Dark Voice, the patrons get to see it first. So they have a week or more to buy the thing before the public, because things tend to run out when I like them. So there's that. There's Ask Me Any Questions About on platform, and I try to get back to you. Please, I apologize highly if I don't get back to you in like a timely manner, or sometimes ever. Because the way Patreon messages are, if you look at a message and then you go away and that tab closes or something clicks on another message, you can't mark that unread. So you just don't know you didn't reply to it. It's gone. And it's like, I know I've done that to a couple people and I feel bad because there's no way to fucking find it again. So yeah, message me on Patreon or Subscribestar if you want to have your questions answered. Participate in the yard sales on the 1st and 10th of every month. If you don't want to wait for my responses and you want to sort of hang out in the behind-the-scenes VIP club, there's a private Telegram chat that's accessible for the $10 supporters on both Patreon and Subscribestar. So check that out. Yeah. And oh, by the way, all wallpapers I've ever used are available in like a giant album. And you can just download that and look up the original artists with IQDB or Sauce Now. And like that guy, and my friend modified these to be wide, obviously. But so I may not work on these new ones. This is just like bam. But yeah, this is episode 8. I'll probably do a couple more of these. I should have been weekly. I should have been caught up way more. It's been a month since the last one. But I've been, what's the term for it? Inundated. I have so much. That whole table is things for me to do except for that bit there. That's all to do. So I gotta get back to work. I need to build up a buffer, and you guys, thank you for sticking around with this channel. Even though content has been sporadic lately, I will try to get back in the groove. As soon as I finish mowing my lawn, or paying my friend to mow my lawn so that I could work, and then he comes over and it's like, listen to the speakers, and it's like, they're not doing any work, and then, well, let's watch some anime, and it's like, fuck.